Live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida and Phoenix, Arizona, it's EKB-TV Live with your hosts, Dr. Bernard Alvarez and Dr. Raina Red Hawk. Empowering the human experience.
And it's just like, it feels like it's meant to be. And with anything in our lives, that's the way it lets us know that we are going in the right direction. When you feel that it's meant to be, when you feel that synchronicity with not only the people, but the actions and whatnot that's going on around you. You want to elaborate a little bit, Annabelle?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I'm smiling as you're talking about that, because when you think back on your life, think about everything that you've done, it really shouldn't be a surprise that you are where you are now. Everything has been moving towards this very present moment. And last week I had talked about how when you put that desire out there, you have to kind of wait for the universe to dance in unison. Because even though your wish may be that you get, I don't know, a Honda, okay?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It has to happen that I need a better job to get more money to get that Honda, and then your next door neighbor knows the veterinarian's daughter who tells her about a job, and then she tells you. You know,
yeah.
Everything dances in unison, and it is so interesting. And I began working with A Course in Miracles. I met a very dear friend of mine, began working with her when my business, my gym kind of fell apart, and we really got into more spirituality. By working with her, I was researching articles online to be able to contribute to another website. I found this wonderful woman by the name of Carol Hansley Gray. We began talking. It turned out that she was just hired to be the new webmaster for the Foundation for A Course in Miracles, and now there's a possibility for me doing some work with them. You know what I mean? Everything just kind of wriggled its way around to make that happen.
Always.
And it's just like, if anybody out there listening thinks back about things that have happened in their lives and what it took to get from point A to point B, you have to understand, it doesn't really matter what happens between point A and point B. What matters is that you get to point B. And when you stop thinking about how to get there, you get there so much faster. But once you get there and you go back, you're like, wow, that was amazing.
Oh,
you know?
I can attest to that. I'm like feeling like a preacher holding my Bible with my hand over my heart. I hear you, girl. I'm one of those people in the sense that it maybe only within the last 6 months do I feel that the change of career has really settled in and grounded itself into my being, and it's just like you don't know, you just don't know, and you just have to keep on going. You really just have to keep on going. Annabelle, I want to just we only have 17 minutes, which really stinks because now I'm starting to think maybe we should have a 3-hour show, but I'll worry about that in a couple of months.
Right.
I wanted to touch on something that has been an issue for me in the law of attraction and all my spirituality. And we talk about it in a basic society, how the two topics of religion and spirituality are just so taboo. Mm-hmm. And I find also, or it has been my experience, that most of spiritual people don't want to talk about politics, and most political people don't really want to talk about spirituality. But meanwhile, these are probably the two most prominent contributing factors to our personality makeup as a member of our global society, so to speak, if that makes any sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the biggest things that we have in regards to spirituality and religion and politics is fear. And, you know, you have your constituents that follow specific politicians, government figures, and, you know, the politician doesn't want to alienate the constituents. Constituents that consist of a group of people that belong to a specific religion are very powerful. so that politician is kind of like indebted to these people. There's a very big fear factor of losing ground because you don't want to lose your position. You know, you don't. It really comes down to ego and fear, which are two things that go hand in hand together. Then you have your spiritual people, you know, who don't want to talk about religion. They don't want to talk about the whole thing because it's like I said last week, it's a conspiracy. What we really need to do is to open up dialogue between the two. There should be no fear. And I can't believe we're talking about this. A couple of weeks ago, I was coming back from Dallas for the company that I used to work for. I was coming back from a marketing meeting, and a gentleman sat next to me in the plane, and the plane was full. And I was reading, actually, New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and he said, "Oh, what are you reading?" So I told him all about it, and he goes, "Oh, that's interesting, and why are you reading it?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm reading it really because it interests me, because it's part of the work that I do, so I know that people that I will be talking with will have read it, and I need to know how to converse with them about it. And also because of the webinar that he was posting with Oprah. I was very interested in that format and how they were going to do that. So then after I tell him all about what I do, I said, "And what do you do?" And he turns out to be some guy in charge of some major company and their 401k plan. And then he takes out his Bible. And then it began. And he was so passionate. He was just like, he even had, you know, verses highlighted. I was like, "Well, that's really good. You're highlighting stuff, you know?" And he's going on and on and on. And he goes, "But am I offending you?" And I said, "No." I go, "My goodness, you're so much more interested in this book right now." I go, "Please, go right ahead." I go, "You know what? I hope that if you're not a Sunday school teacher, you really should be one, because he really knew his stuff." Yeah. And he was trying to corner me into agreeing to some stuff, and I just said, "You know what? I hear what you're saying. I appreciate the Bible. I think it is an amazing, amazing piece of work, but there's just some things that I don't buy." And then he said, "So what are you calling Jesus a liar?" I said, "I'm not calling him a liar. I am calling the institution that created that canon. I am saying that there's more. They're leaving out stuff." I go, "Can you not open yourself to the possibility that there may be more? Do you really think that God stopped speaking to us when Jesus died?"
Oh, yeah.
But think about that. And then when he looked at me, and we had a great conversation. There was no shocking value to anybody, but you can't have that fear. You can't have that fear to dialogue. And,
exactly.
you know, if you're afraid of breaking out of that little cocoon we were talking about last week because you have that deep belief system that you've been raised with, you're in for a big surprise. You know, you're in for a big shock.
And that's very true. I mean, I am very honored to be, I have been featured on dozens of Christian websites, which is not only a surprise, but a great honor that they saw beyond my personal lifestyle and or my personal spirituality and just took the message, which is what it's really all about. Now, I don't want to cut this short, but I want to share this with us. I have a little clip here from Esther Hicks discussing politics. It's about a 60-second clip. If you'll let me play it, and maybe we can touch on this. Let's touch on this. Hold on.
Find out if you know if there is a controlling being at the forefront of our country right now that is not in truth.
Well, when you are talking about politicians, for the most part, they cannot follow their heart, because we talked about your 2-year-old who you are sometimes guiding to respond to you in response to what you want rather than to what your child wants. And can you imagine what it must be like to be a politician?
Wow.
We have not met one yet who is able to follow what comes forth from within. They have left that behind long ago.
Very interesting. And
Esther always asks, one of the things that she enjoys most about her interaction with us is, she will say, "Abraham, is that person telling the truth?" And we say, whatever anyone is focused upon, they make their truth. So there is a better question than that. The better question is, does that person believe that what they are saying right now is true?